All right, so all that buzz about AI taking over jobs? Well, it's getting real, especially when it comes to coding. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, Facebook, has been dropping some serious hints about this.
Uh-huh.
First, he goes on the Joe Rogan experience and talks about how AI could replace what he called mid-level engineers. Now,
Mm,
for context, those are the folks who've got a few years of experience under their belts but aren't quite at the top of the food chain.
interesting choice of words, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Mid-level.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like he's targeting a specific segment of the workforce.
Right. Makes you wonder what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
But hold on, because it gets even weirder.
Oh.
A recent article from Big News Small Bites titled "Zuckerberg Announces Layoffs After Saying Coding Jobs Will Be Replaced by AI" dropped a bombshell. Meta is laying off 5% of its workforce.
Wow.
And get this, Zuckerberg's calling them low performers. He even put out a company-wide memo saying they need to bring new people in.
That's a pretty stark contrast to his whole AI takeover narrative, isn't it?
Right.
On one hand, he's painting this picture of AI stepping in to do the coding, and on the other, he's axing actual human coders.
Exactly. And of course, the internet is buzzing about it.
Yeah.
We dove into a Reddit thread on this article from the Futurology subreddit, and let me tell you, people are not buying it.
The skepticism is palpable. And frankly, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Is AI really sophisticated enough to justify these layoffs?
Right?
Or is Zuckerberg using it as a convenient excuse for something else?
Well, some Reddit users who are actually software developers themselves are weighing in.
Oh, interesting.
You're saying, look, AI is great for those repetitive, straightforward tasks, but when you get into the nitty-gritty of complex problem solving, the kind of creative thinking that software development really demands, AI just isn't there yet.
Okay, so that makes sense. What's fascinating here is that even Zuckerberg seems to be acknowledging those limitations. He's shifted his language from talking about AI replacement to emphasizing the need for strong talent. It almost sounds like he's backpedaling a bit.
Almost like he's realizing that maybe, just maybe, human coders aren't going to be obsolete overnight.
Right.
But there's another layer to this whole story that I found particularly intriguing, and it ties into this idea of enshittification that one Redditor brought up.
Okay, that's a new one. Enshittification, what's that all about?
Well, they were basically describing how Facebook's user experience has gone downhill.
Okay.
It's overloaded with ads, the content quality is questionable, and people are just less engaged with the platform overall.
Ah, I see. They're saying Facebook is losing its appeal, becoming less user-friendly.
Exactly. And some folks are connecting that decline to Meta's financial pressures.
Okay.
If they're struggling to maintain profitability and keep users hooked, something has to give.
So maybe these layoffs are less about AI taking over coding jobs and more about cost-cutting in the face of declining user engagement.
Right. And the Reddit thread is full of comments from people drawing parallels to what happened at Twitter under Elon Musk. These massive layoffs often presented as some kind of efficiency play with AI as the justification, but are they really sustainable in the long run?
Yeah, it's a pattern we're seeing across the tech industry, and it raises some serious questions about the true motives behind these AI-driven narratives.
And what's interesting is the Reddit thread isn't just filled with doom and gloom.
Right.
There are actually some pretty thought-provoking discussions about potential solutions.
Okay.
One idea that keeps popping up is a universal basic income.
Yeah, that's a concept that's been gaining traction in recent years, right?
Yeah.
The idea that everyone would receive a regular payment from the government regardless of their employment status.
Right.
It's often presented as a way to mitigate the potential economic fallout from widespread automation.
Yeah, and some Reddit users are arguing that if AI is really going to displace millions of jobs, then we need to start thinking about radical solutions like this to ensure people can still make ends meet.
It's certainly a bold idea, and it comes with its own set of challenges and complexities,
Yeah.
but it's a conversation worth having. We need to be exploring all possible options as we navigate this uncharted territory.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the economic side of things, It's about the social and psychological impact of AI on our lives.
Right.
If work as we know it is going to fundamentally change, what does that mean for our sense of purpose, our identity, our place in the world?
These are profound questions that go beyond simple economic calculations.
Yeah.
We're talking about the very fabric of our society.
And that's why this whole Zuckerberg situation is so fascinating. He's become this kind of lightning rod for these bigger anxieties about AI and the future of work.
Yeah.
On one hand, he's this tech evangelist hyping up the transformative power of AI. But on the other hand, he's making decisions that seem driven by the same old corporate playbook: cut costs, maximize profits.
It's a perfect illustration of the tension we're facing. We're caught between this optimistic vision of AI as a force for progress and this fear that it's going to leave millions of people behind.
And I think that's where platforms like Reddit become so valuable. They give a voice to those anxieties, those doubts, those alternative perspectives that often get drowned out in the mainstream media.
It's a reminder that the future of AI isn't something that's going to be decided in Silicon Valley boardrooms. It's something we need to be debating and shaping collectively as a society.
Okay, so let's bring this back to you, the listener. What does all of this mean for you? What are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's a call to action. We can't afford to be passive observers in this technological revolution. We need to be informed, engaged, and vocal about our concerns and aspirations for the future of work.
Absolutely. And it's not just about advocating for policies like universal basic income, although those are important discussions to have.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in shaping this future.
It's about being proactive, adaptable, and constantly learning and evolving. The jobs of tomorrow might not even exist yet, so we need to be prepared to embrace new skills and ways of thinking.
And that doesn't mean everyone needs to become a coding whiz or an AI expert. It's about cultivating that growth mindset, that curiosity, that willingness to step outside your comfort zone and embrace the unknown.
It's about recognizing that change is inevitable and that the best way to navigate it is to be prepared, informed, and empowered.
Beautifully said. And speaking of empowerment, one of the things that really struck me from the Reddit thread was this emphasis on the importance of community.
Ah, yes. In times of uncertainty and change, it's human nature to seek connection, support, and shared experiences.
And online communities like Reddit, for all their flaws, can provide that sense of belonging. They allow people to come together, share their anxieties, brainstorm solutions, and support each other through challenging times.
It's a reminder that we're not in this alone. We're all navigating these changes together, and there's strength and wisdom in collective action.
And sometimes it's just about having a space to vent, to laugh, to find solace in the shared experience of being human in this increasingly complex world.
Absolutely. Humor, empathy, and connection are just as important as technical skills and economic policies when it comes to shaping a positive future.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to Zuckerberg and Meta for a moment. So, Zuckerberg was talking about AI replacing those mid-level engineers. Well, if Meta is struggling to make that happen and even backpedaling a bit, what does that tell us about the bigger picture?
I think it suggests that the widespread integration of AI into the workforce might be further off than some of the hype would lead us to believe.
Yeah.
Even a tech giant like Meta, with vast resources and a clear interest in automation, is running into roadblocks.
Yeah, it's a good reality check.
Right.
We often hear these sweeping predictions about AI taking over everything, but the reality on the ground is often much messier and more nuanced.
Exactly. And that brings me to a final thought-provoking question for you to ponder. If even Meta is having these difficulties, what does that say about the timeline for AI's impact on other industries?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. It's so easy to get caught up in the headlines and think that AI is about to revolutionize everything overnight.
But the truth is, it's a gradual process, and there will be both progress and setbacks along the way. It's important to approach this with a critical eye, to question the narratives being presented, and to recognize that the future is not preordained.
We all have a role to play in shaping how AI develops and ensuring that it ultimately benefits humanity. And that starts with staying informed, asking tough questions, and engaging in these crucial conversations.
Precisely. The future is not something that simply happens to us. It's something we actively create together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.